Hello, welcome to my Bricklink store. My name is Ronnie. I'm one of the two builder buds. The other guy is about, well, you can't even see how short he is. He's my 4-year-old son, and he's not here with me today, but I kind of got a wild hair and decided that I wanted to make a video about my Bricklink store and more specifically about my part out process, because I think it's a little bit different than what a lot of Bricklink sellers do. So I thought it would be just kind of fun and interesting to record that process because I don't part out all that much. My store has shifted more towards buying sealed sets and hanging on to them for a little while and then making money on them in the aftermarket after the set's been retired for a little while. But I do have my Lego parts store, as you can see here. I've got plenty of bins and storage for parts, and right now currently I believe my inventory is somewhere around 60,000 parts, and it comes around here to this backside as well. So I've got the typical storage method. I've kind of tried out a little bit of everything with the bigger bins, just like random smaller bins, tackle boxes. I really don't like that method because it takes a lot longer to get in there and pull the parts out versus the acro mills that a lot of sellers utilize. But what I want to do is I want to kind of try and figure out which set it is that I want to part out, because I've got a lot of options and I want to kind of show you the process that I go through of deciding whether or not I should part out a set or I should just let it sit on a shelf and mature and just sell it as a sealed set. Because for me, my time is valuable. If you're spending time doing something, that's time that you could be doing something else. I could be playing video games, or I could be doing work on my actual day job or laundry, or whatever it is. So there's definitely a cost to sitting down and parting out a set. There's a cost to letting a set sit on a shelf and mature for years and years and years. You need storage space, you need patience, you need a lot of things in order to make that investment pay off, which that's why it's an investment. It's a long-term thing. It's not going to be a short turnaround. Whereas sometimes parting out, you're going to see the return on that investment a little bit faster. But let's take a look at a couple of sets, because I usually like to find sets that I have multiples of. Usually a minimum of 5 would be really nice, because I think that that's a nice amount to sit down and part out at a given time. But definitely at least having 3 of a set kind of makes it more worth parting out, because if you part out a set and you've only got 1 copy of it that you're parting out, there's a possibility that you're going to have a lot of lots in there and there's only going to be 1 part, and that's going to be kind of an annoyance to find storage space for it. Whereas if you're parting out 3 sets, you're going to have a minimum of 3 of each piece whenever you go to part that out. So there's a couple of sets that I'm eyeballing, but I'm going to take you over to the computer and kind of show you what I look at on the inventory screen. Alright, I know that this isn't the greatest picture quality ever, but what I've done is I've gone into my store and I've gone into inventory, and now I want to change my item types to sets and then just hit go. And now I've got all of my sets and I have them sorted by quantity. So this poly bag I've got 8, this poly bag I've got 5, so on and so forth. And I want to find a set that's available in my store with at least a quantity of 3 that's going to part out for more than what I've currently got this set priced at to sell sealed. Because it used to be that I would take a set like this and I would just put it in my kind of my hidden inventory where it wasn't for sale, but I could activate it at any time. And here recently I decided that I would just go ahead and list everything at the price that I want to get for it eventually. So that way it's on Bricklink, it's already for sale. If somebody wants to purchase it at some point, then eventually the market's going to balance out to where this set will sell for $80. So if I click there, I can see what they're currently selling for, and you can see mine's kind of down there at the bottom of that list, and because it's on sale, it's actually listed at $76 instead of $80. And that's fine. I'm not looking to turn around and sell this immediately. I think I just bought that set maybe 3 months ago. So I know that it's going to be a year, maybe 2 years before I get that $76 per set. But I also feel like I'm kind of helping out the seller's market by listing the set at a higher price. But that's just kind of the price that I'm willing to part with it at, because I bought it on clearance, and that's, usually if I buy a set and I know that I'm going to keep it sealed and I want to sell it down the road, I want to sell it for, double or triple what I paid for it. And the same can be said for whenever we part things out. Because of the time commitment involved in parting things out, I want to triple my money. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. So this one is set 76130. And if we go into the price guide on Bricklink, we can type in that set number. And we can see that it's got a part out value currently of $86. Well, that's only $6 more than what I'm hoping to sell this for in the future. So really, that's not a very good use of my time. I want to find something that's going to part out for more than what I'm asking. So if we look at something like this guy, 70913 Scarecrow Fearful Face Off. 70913. Only has a $23.76 part out value as of the last 6 months. And I'm hoping to get $30 for this set eventually. It's been in my store for a long time. As you can see, I added it August 10th of 2019, and they're just not moving. They're not selling. So even if I click into here, I can see that it's moved up the list. I'm about halfway on that list, and I could see this selling for that amount in not too much longer. Maybe the next 6 months, I would imagine those are going to sell. So really, looking at this $23 part out, that's less than what I'm going to get for selling the set sealed, so that's really not a good use of my time either. I do have a set in mind though, and that set is this one, 76109 Quantum Realm Explorers. I added it to my store August 13th, 2019. I have sold one of them, but it was, right after I purchased it, whenever it was kind of a hot commodity. I've got 4 of them. I'm asking $30. Let's see what it let's see what it parts out as. 76109. All right, so this is parting out for $39.25 as of the last 6 months sales average. And then if you look at the current items, it's gone up even more. So I'm asking $30 for each sealed set. If I took the time to part it out, I'm going to increase that by about $10. And to me, that's a pretty good use of my time. And especially if you look at what's currently for sale now, it's got a good projection that it's kind of on the uptick, and parting it out I think would be a good use of my time. Whereas if I kind of waited around and tried to sell these for $30 a piece, we can see that there's quite a few people that are in front of me that are going to sell it for a little bit less, and that's even at the sale price of $28.50. So that's going to be our set, and what I like to do is I like to categorize where I leave my sets so that whenever I sell them, I know exactly where they're at. It's the same process if you're selling a piece. So as you can see, this one is on the left wire shelf. I know the naming convention there maybe isn't the best thing ever, but it works for me because I know that my left wire shelf is this guy right here. I've got a right wire shelf and a left wire shelf. Very, very smart. So where is that set? It's right there in front of me. So there you go, 76109. We've got 4 of them. We're going to crack those open, and I'm going to show you the rest of the process as we move through it. All right, we are at the table now and ready to begin the part out process. So I've got my 4 sets here, and essentially what I'm doing is I'm going to open up all 4 of these sets, kind of lay out all of the contents, sort them into bags, and then we'll crack into the first bag. Flatten out my boxes so I can recycle those. I used to try and sell instructions, but I mean, the way that they come, nobody's going to buy that. Nobody wants it. So I just recycle the paper instructions as well. Definitely hang on to the sticker sheet because those do sell. Sometimes it takes a while, but you never know. And they don't take up that much space, so I really don't mind them like I mind the instruction manuals. The instruction manuals wind up being just really heavy, taking up a lot of space, so I just discard those. Alright, so I've opened up all of the boxes. I've got all of the contents laid out. I'm going to bring the camera over here and kind of show you what I'm looking at. So this was a 200-piece set, and I like the 200-piece sets because it's going to be a pretty minimal time commitment to part them out. The set only has 2 bags. Inside of the bigger bags, there are going to be some smaller bags, but it's not going to take all that much time to get that parted out. And what I use to part out everything are these little clear plastic cups. I really like them because they stack, and it makes it very simple. that once I get the parts in there, I can very easily just open up the bin over in my store and just dump the cup into the bin. And I'll show you that whole process, but I've tried a lot of different storage methods, like the old advent calendar trays, some IKEA plastic trays, and I just don't like them because it takes so long to dig the parts out of those containers, whereas with the cup, you just throw the parts in the cup, the cups can stack up, and then when you're ready to throw them into the Acro Mills bins, you just dump the cup in there and you're done. So that definitely works really, really good for me. So I'm going to open up bag one, because my process, now that I've got these sorted into bags, is to open up the contents of all the bag, number one, to start out with, and to start parting those out. With this one, there is a smaller bag of parts in there. I don't know if you can see that right there. I do those separately, so I'll open this up, I'll sort out all of the bigger parts, and then I'll do the smaller bag items separately after I get all the bigger items sorted. Alright, so what you see here is the contents of all of the bag number one, minus the smaller bags. As you can see, I've broken those out. They're on a different pile over here, getting ready to be parted out after I magically make all of these things go into those things, like this. Ta-da! So about 10 minutes later, we've got all the parts sorted into cups. Our little Ant-Man minifigure there. Also, shout out to Greg, Brickitect, for providing my part out entertainment for today in the form of his Missing Pieces podcast. Always love that. But yeah, this is what it looks like. We're just sorted into parts. Colors, I will stack colors on top of each other, as you can see here. So there's some black, and on down the line there's a whole bunch of light bluish gray, just all nice and stacked together. And those parts are going to be very easy to just go to the part bin, dump them right in there, and they're ready to go. So now I'm going to tackle the smaller bags, and I'll do bag two, and then probably the next time that you see me is right now. But the next time that I address the camera will be whenever I actually go to add these items to my store using the computer, and then actually getting ready to put these away into my bins, because I've got kind of a method that I use to do that as well that I think is a little bit different from what other people are doing. So we'll be back here in just a couple minutes. Walking downstairs, going in the basement, not gonna trip and fall. Going down in the basement, oh yeah. We got this set all parted out now. It's ready to rock and roll, ready to be added to the store. This is me personally, I am big on recycling. So if you buy parts from my store, they're gonna come to you in these Lego bags. I believe in not wasting things whenever possible and reusing whenever possible. So again, if you buy from my Lego store, they're going to come in reused Lego bags. I do buy new bubble mailers. I do save all of my mailers that I get of just like random mail, and there is a possibility that you could get a reused package, because again, reduce, reuse, recycle, folks. So I've got everything sorted out in colors. There's all the blacks, and I always put those kind of on the left side of the table because they're the first ones that are going to get added to the store. There's our sticker sheets, minifigures. I don't put the minifigures together, but I do put them in their own little individual Ziploc bags before I add them to the store. That way it's very quick to be able to pick them out for orders. So there's all the light bluish gray, and then all of the random colors, and the dark bluish gray. Black, light bluish gray, and dark bluish gray are the most popular items on Bricklink. So that's probably why this set is doing so well, is because it's full of those three colors. So now the process of getting it added to my store. This is my little shipping station that I use. It's on 4 caster wheels. So basically what I do is I pull it right there next to my store. I find the place where I need to pull the part out of. I grab it out of the bin, put it in the little bag here, or sometimes I use cups if we're pulling a lot of lots, and then I move on to the next item. And then I just kind of wheel my cart around. Really nice, easy mobile shipping station. But for our purposes today, we're going to add a set to the store inventory. So I've got it brought up, 76109. I need to click part out. And now I need to change the quantity of sets to 4, since we've got 4 of them. I'm not going to include instructions, so I'll check that off of there. Everything else I can leave the same. For default prices, I will change that to last 6 months sales average to keep it nice and competitive. Not going to change any of that. I like to upload my new items to Stockroom B. I kind of use Stockroom B as my in-between spot where they're not really in the store, but they're not ready for, they're just not ready to go. So if I put them in Stockroom B, I can change the location, I can do all kinds of things, and they're not already in my inventory. I find that works really well. I don't like to retain items, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. We'll keep everything else the same. And then I do want to check that because I want my lots to be consolidated with other parts. That way, if I've already got these, which I do, these black Technic friction pins, they won't be added as a new lot. I can just add them to the stock that I've already got. So I'm going to keep the old price. I'm going to keep the old bulk amount. I'm going to keep the old sale. I'm going to keep the old remarks, old extended description. I'm going to change this and make it the new stockroom option because, again, I'm uploading these to Stockroom B, so I want all of those parts to go into Stockroom B until I'm ready to activate them and list them for sale. I'm going to leave the old retain option on there. I have some parts on there that are retained, and I just don't really feel like messing with that. And then old weight and package, all of that is fine and dandy. Alright, so now it's just preference. I always sort by color name because, like I said, I've got my blacks right here ready to go into the store. So I'm ready to upload. So we're going to click submit for edit. And it's pretty fast, and you can just kind of peruse here and see what things are going to sell for. So there's our sticker sheet, 18 cents a piece. You can change any of this information that you want at any time. If you see red anywhere, that means that you've already got that part in your inventory. But again, you can just kind of scroll through here, make sure everything looks good. I usually don't check it out too closely. I do look at the minifigures because I'm always interested to see kind of what they're selling for. So the average for Ant-Man there is $764. The average for Ghost is $346. And then we've got the Wasp for $6. So, you know, that's some pretty good money if all of those minifigures sell. But one thing to keep in mind is that that's probably not going to sell for $7.64 tomorrow, right? So you can always click into it and you can see the cheapest one available is $620, $650, and you can find that you're right in the middle of that average, right where it put it there for you. So I think that that's a good competitive place to be. If you want to be a little more aggressive with your minifigures, you can, but just by selecting the 6 month sales average, I feel like you're aggressive enough. And the guy that I learned all of my Bricklink selling stuff from is Clutch. Bricks on the Dollar. He had just a ton of videos that I used to watch and I learned all this stuff from. And his mantra was always, everything sells eventually. So as long as you're not in too big of a hurry to sell this stuff, everything will sell eventually. Price it at what you're comfortable in selling it for, and then just hang on for the ride. All right, at this point we are ready to verify, so I'm going to click Verify Items. And that's just another step that you have to go through in order to get the items added to your inventory. And it does take a little bit longer, but again, you get to review everything. You get to see how many of your items are going to be consolidated. As you become a bigger store and you start seeing a list that has more of these consolidated words, I always felt like that was a good thing because that meant that I had a good variety of parts and that I had a big enough store where I was adding additional quantity to my store rather than just it always being new items, because a lot of folks, they just want to buy in quantity on Bricklink, and I think that you're a more competitive seller if you can offer that. So this is kind of some interesting information that you get at the very bottom of this page. We're going to upload 808 items, so our 4 sets, about 200 parts each, totals 808 new items, 91 unique lots, and that's going to total out 146.44. So originally we had these listed at $30 a piece. So 30, 60, 90, 120. So we're really only making about $26.44. But the good thing about parting out versus selling a set, usually if you sell a set, you're going to sell that one set and that's it. Whereas with parting out, if you get somebody that's interested in a part in your store, you get them to come over to your store, and then there's a good likelihood that they're going to buy more than that one part. So it's always good to kind of keep your inventory up as high as you can. And for me, it's right now this balancing act of how much time do I want to spend parting stuff out versus how much money do I want to make, and do I want to wait to make that money and hang on to sealed sets, or do I want to go ahead and break open the sets, part them out, and start getting that income generated again so that I can just do this all over again. I usually like to base my purchasing around the two major times of year when Walmart has their big clearance around July and January, because I know that I'm going to have some stock at that point. So I want to make sure that I've got funds available to go out to Walmart and purchase as much as I want without having to dig into my bank account or some other avenue like that, because I fund my Bricklink store with my Bricklink sales. It's a separate account. If I've got money in that account, then I'll be a little more aggressive and I'll buy stuff whenever good deals pop up. If I don't have money in that account, I'll be a little bit more hesitant to pull the trigger on something unless it's just an amazing deal. So definitely around January, July time frame, I like to have some money built up in my account so that I can jump on those deals whenever they occur. But now at this point, we're ready to click upload items, and that's going to upload those items to that stock room. So they are in there, and the way that you get to that is you can go to My Store, go to Inventory. Sorry if that's a little bit blurry. Click By Availability, and now we can see that Stockroom B has all of those items that we just added to it. So we'll click into Stockroom B, and now this is the place where I'm going to go through and start putting these parts into the store. I'm going to sort it by color here, which is the default method. We'll click Go. And we want to make sure that's selected up so that black shows up first on our list. Actually, I guess the minifigures will show up first on our list. And the way that I do this, so I've got a lot of bins, and I know like some people, whenever they empty out a bin, they'll just go over here and they'll pull it and it just won't be there. And then they'll just have stacks of bins everywhere. And I do it a little bit different. Whenever I empty out a bin, I will write it down on this page. That way, if I need a spot for Mr. Ant-Man there, I can see that I've got smooth drawers and I've got square drawers. And just to show off what that kind of means, this is an example of a smooth drawer. It's kind of got a rounded edge in there. So that's a smooth drawer, and these are really good for plates and smaller parts because you can just kind of reach in there and use the edges like that. Whereas this is an example of a square drawer where it's really better for bigger parts because you don't really need a rounded edge in order for those parts for you to be able to grab those. Because sometimes if you get, like, I don't know, little bitty parts in these square drawers, it's just really hard to grab them. So that's why I've got that differentiated there. But I can see that I've got an opening in smooth drawer 93, so I could grab Ant-Man here, and I can take him over to smooth drawer 93, which is this guy right here. And this is a good example how I don't mind doubling up parts. I'll try to not put more than 2 different lots in the same bin, but I can still do 2 lots in that bin and it not really take any additional time. So I could put that guy in there and away I would go. All right, so at this point, I'm now going to put all of these parts away into my store, and as soon as all done, I'll come back here and I'll do a little wrap up, and that'll be the end of the video. So stay tuned. One additional thing I thought that I would throw out there is the way that I store my minifigures. So for Ant-Man, I actually utilize all of these different kinds of like coffee containers, formula containers from whenever my little guy was drinking formula back in the day. And this is how I store my minifigs that I'm going to sell. So I'll just grab this one right here. I don't know if there's room in it or not. It's pretty stuffed to the rafters, so I won't go with that one. I'll just kind of pick one up and That one feels kind of heavy. That one feels light. So we should be able to fit some in here. Oh yeah, we got room. Who's in there? Bruce Banner. Little Bruce Banner action. Alright, so we're going to take these Ant-Man minifigs, which is the next thing that we need to put away, and we're just going to dump them in there. Booyah. And all we have to do is do Marvel Can 3 is what I call it, right? That's what it says, Marvel Can 3. So then if I get an order for that guy, I just go to Marvel Can 3, pull him out of there, and away we go. So that's how I do minifigs, and that's how I edit the remarks for any of the items as well. So if I don't have them in the store already, you just go to My Remarks, and that's only information that you can see. Your customers don't see that information, and that's how I do it. So now I'm going to concentrate on getting all these parts put away. See you soon. Alright, I lied. I wanted to show off how easy it is with the cups to get the stuff where it needs to go. So our first item to put away is the black antenna. 157 is where it's located, so I just got to find it here on the table. There it is. We go to 157, which is way down here. Open up the drawer, and there it is. That's not an ideal situation as far as like that many parts in there, but it's okay. It works. And we'll do the next one now. So that one does not have a home. So that's this guy right here. So it's a smaller part. So I'm going to use a smooth drawer, and I'm going to find the drawer. So we'll cross off number 93. We'll come on over here. And there's 93. Ta-da! Done. Easy peasy. On to the next one. After you make sure that you put in the system where you saved that, which was drawer 93. So on and so forth. More of this until all of that is gone right now. All right, the parts are all put away, and now the only thing that is left is to make those items available to my customers. There we go. Inventory is updated. We're going to go back into my store inventory. We're going to go by availability, and then we're going to put a check next to stockroom B. And we want to scroll down a little bit, and we want to change availability status to a store item. So we've got stockroom B checked. We're changing the availability to a store item. We hit submit changes, and there you go. Stockroom B is emptied out, and those parts are available in my store, and I've got 31 lots that I can notify members of that those are available. Come and get them. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope that you found it useful. I've been selling on Bricklink now for about 5 years, so I've definitely learned some things along the way, and I'm happy to pass along that knowledge. So if you have any questions, please feel free to submit those in the comments below. Let me know if there's other videos you'd like for me to make about Bricklink, and until I see you next time, happy building.